It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From big TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your host, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey guys, what's going on? Lee Sanders back with you all for this Monday night of February 16th, 2026. All new edition of the RCWR show. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend, depending on where you are. Hopefully, maybe in the Midwest. If not Midwest, definitely up along down the East Coast. Mother Nature has been very kind. Some nice warm fronts has taken out a lot of the snow that definitely crippled us over here in the nation's capital for almost 2 weeks. But then there were other areas that were impacted even a little bit longer than that. So hopefully those respected neighborhoods are now in the clear. Because it just broke my heart hearing about how some neighbors, especially those that were of the elderly, I know there were some people that were missing dialysis appointments and all kinds of craziness because of the snow. But Mother Nature has just been very, very kind. Some nice warm temperatures, rain as well. For those of you kind of like me, oh man, my car looks so messed up because of all this sleet and snow. Oh, I got to get it clean. Well, Mother Nature pretty much did its thing. I was actually looking at my car earlier today because I had to go out and do some shooting in the area. I was filming some stuff, and I looked at my car. I'm like, oh, wow. Because I was looking, I said, man, this damn thing is dirty. I got to get this bad boy clean. Next thing I know, I'm looking at it earlier this morning and I go, oh, wow, it's so nice and pretty. It's clean. Like, did somebody I had to do a double take? I go, is this really my car? Because it just looks so clean, so sparkling. It's like, no, that's mine. Like, oh, okay, cool. So it's crazy, man. Hope you guys been good. So look, this week we're gonna do a abbreviated edition of our show, and that's mainly because I've got to get up super super early to make sure that some equipment that I checked out gets back to where it needs to go on time before I get hit with a late fee. So I want to get up super early so I can be out the door, try to beat the traffic. Because I've been noticing the past couple of weeks on my way to classes, commute has been a little bit bad, worse compared to last semester. Last semester was easy. I could procrastinate almost until the last minute as far as leaving out the door, and I would still find really good parking. I had enough time to walk to campus, walk to my classes, no issues whatsoever. But it seems like this spring semester, no, not the case whatsoever. And I don't know if that's a result of maybe more people have enrolled or what exactly is going on. But so we're going to do an abbreviated show tonight. We're just going to talk strictly Raw, although I do want to show some correction. I do want to show some love to a legend. We'll talk about that later on during the show. What did you guys think about tonight's WWE Raw as it came to us from Memphis, Tennessee? Kind of interesting because I think it was last week's show we had somebody that did a drive-by on, I think it was last week's or the week before's Wrestling with the Topics, and somebody did a drive-by saying something about Jerry Lawler's returning to WWE. Well, if it happened during a commercial break tonight, I don't know anything about it. I didn't see any signs of Jerry Lawler throughout the 2 hour plus broadcast. Because I even had asked the person in the chat, I said, can you clarify what exactly are you talking about? Who are you quoting this information from, if at all? I was very nice. I was very polite with asking, hey, what are you talking about exactly? Where are you getting this information from? Because I didn't see anything about Jerry Lawler returning to WWE online. Like, what are you talking about? And mum was the word for the person that had put that out there. So if you kind of noticed in the chat, that's why we didn't even acknowledge it on air. But yeah, no sign of Jerry Lawler whatsoever. Let me know what you thought about tonight's WWE Raw from Memphis, Tennessee, as I got a poll up on Twitter, X at the RCWR show. And if you're tuning in live, joining me for the next little bit, hello, you can definitely post a comment down below. We'll show you some love as well. So look, at this point, we are a week away from Saturday for WWE Elimination Chamber, the final pit stop before WrestleMania. And WrestleMania has just been struggling making those dollar bills, y'all, because the prices are just way too high. You need to cut it. It's just way too high. And as we kind of saw from the weekend, a lot of the buzz that's been running around, Triple H is apparently in the hot seat. I mean, I think it's kind of funny when they say Triple H is in the hot seat, because if you want to say Triple H is in the hot seat because creatively he doesn't have a definitive, hey, these are the plans for WrestleMania, these are the matches that we're going to be getting. And if you want to come at me and say, no, there is internally some heat towards Triple H because he keeps flip-flopping on the card for WrestleMania, and with things being so close, this is okay. I can kind of maybe bite into that just a tiny little bit, right? Because maybe the way that card kind of looks, the more matches maybe we kind of know that's going to be happening down the line for WrestleMania, maybe that would give a little bit of a better inkling as far as how well the ticket prices are going for WrestleMania. But at the end of the day, let's make sure we really set the tone here. Triple H isn't naming the prices for WrestleMania. That all belongs to TKO, right? It's not Triple H, Paul Levesque naming the WrestleMania ticket prices. It's not Nick Khan. This is all on TKO. TKO Holdings. It is all on them. So if anybody's feet needs to be held to the fire for the prices, it needs to be TKO. Now, to see that now WrestleMania tickets are available at 25% off discount compared to where it was before, that's a little bit of progress. We'll have to wait and see how that translates. If that's gonna move the needle significantly at all, we'll have to wait and see. And then we know that there's going to be the usual suspects that's going to be paying attention to how well the tickets are going to sell. Good folks over there at WrestleNomics, WrestleTix. So when more supportive data becomes available, we'll definitely be talking about it right here on the show and everything. But that's WrestleMania. We're still building towards Elimination Chamber, where this week's Raw, we had a couple of Elimination Chamber qualifying matches. We had Bayley taking on Nattie, Asuka in a triple threat Elimination Chamber qualifier. Asuka picking up the win in this one. She defeated Bayley by choking her out to make her tap out. Wasn't really a fan of that. I gotta tell you, because Nattie's whole thing, her whole gimmick since she's been back, she's this new improved version. She's this hardcore, take no prisoners, gonna break your arm, gonna break your leg, gonna break your neck. Okay, she's got this whole I'm gonna make your teeth just come up out your mouth and blood, and right, she's all about the pounding basically. And so I'm loving this new Natty that's running around, but make no mistake about it, I'm also remembering what we've been seeing with Natty these past couple of weeks involving Maxine Dupree. And if you were to say to me, hey, Lee, this match between Bayley, Natty, Asuka, you'll never believe how it's going to end. I go, well, I would assume under the circumstances, maybe Natty wins, right? No, no, no. Natty doesn't win. Oh, well, that sucks to hear. So I guess maybe Bayley wins, right? Because Bayley, from what I've been seeing, it seems like she's in a little bit of a slouch there, right? It's a little bit of a weird paradox. There's something weird going on there with Bayley. She's just in this purgatory state right now. Her and Lyra Valkyria, they're just in this weird state. Like, well, surely Bayley. No, 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 no. Like, oh, so Asuka wins, huh? Yeah, but Asuka doesn't just win, Lee. She doesn't just win. She wins by tapping out Bayley. I personally, I don't know about you guys, but I personally would just go, how does that make sense when Natty is the one that's supposed to be making people tap and she's breaking people and all this other stuff? Like, most importantly, where's Maxine Dupree? Because if there was ever a time for interference to really kind of come into play, potentially while a referee is distracted or whatnot, and for Maxine Dupree to pretty much let Natty know, yo, you and me, we're just getting started, not done with you by a mile. Like, here's the time and here's the place. I didn't like the way any of this was set up. Good match by all three girls, but just the way this match was booked just left me scratching my head quite a bit because why even have just stay with me here. Just stay with me. Even if you end up not agreeing, just at least hear me out. So you have Asuka tap out Bayley, and then afterwards, Natty is just gingerly walking up backwards to the stage ramp, looking on, pretty pissed. She's looking as though she got cheated. So on the one hand, you're looking at Natty and you're going, okay, well, for this newly repackaged Natty that we're getting, all right, well, at least you can say this Natty hasn't been made to submit or tap out or anything just yet one on one. All right, so that's good and everything. But then you have Maxine Dupree jump Natty from behind. That just had me go, well, wait a minute. Where was Maxine? What was she doing leading up to this? Was she using the restroom? Was she in catering? Was she finishing up an Amazon order? What the hell was going on? Was she trying to secure tickets to the next Bad Bunny concert? What the hell was going on? Where was Maxine Dupree prior to? Why wasn't her presence felt during this match? It is not like there's interference is gonna cause a disqualification. That's not how it plays out in these elimination chamber matches. So Maxine Dupree would have been essentially justified, especially all things considered what happened with her and losing the women's intercontinental championship and all that. Natty being at the core of that would have made all the sense in the world for these two women to essentially negate each other. And I would have loved it if Maxine would have just came charging down, beating the holy living crap out of Natty. And these two women, they're just swinging back and forth and everything. They're just going at it. And maybe they take the action backstage and all that other stuff, right? That would have been kind of a cool thing to see. And then maybe ultimately Natty, after she finishes beating the crap out of Maxine, would have been nice had you somehow had it be a double screen joint showing the Elimination Chamber qualifying and then whatever was happening with the two women brawling all throughout the arena and or backstage. Natty negates Maxine, tries to get back into the ring for that chamber qualifier. Unfortunately, doesn't make it back in time. Then maybe goes, tries to find Maxine. The girls pick up right where they left off. It was just really weird how all of this was just laid out for this match. Asuka going over. I mean, when you think about the Elimination Chamber on the women's side of things, hey, it's nice that you've definitely got that one veteran in there that can really kind of help make sure everything's going in the right direction and all that. Having Oscar's name value in there, I mean, that's solid. It really is. But man, I'm just looking at this and I'm going, well, personally, it would have been nice to see Bayley under the circumstances. It would have been nice to see Bayley advance, but just wasn't meant to be, unfortunately. From there, we go to the men's elimination chamber qualifying match. That pretty much was our main event for the night. For those of you that's just now tuning in, we're just getting started talking about tonight's WWE Raw. We got more action that we'll be talking about here, but we're just easily segueing where the transitioning takes us naturally. Talking about the men's elimination chamber qualifier. So for this one, we had young OG himself, Javon Evans, taking on Gunther, and your third man, Dominik Mysterio. So that was your triple threat dance right there. I love the fact that Dragon Lee interfered in this. Well, this was kind of cool how they did this because at one point, Dominik Mysterio ended up pulling out a foreign object. Looked like it was a little mini hammer. And I guess he was going to try to use this on Gunther, and Gunther was able to grab that bad boy just in time. And Gunther was thinking about using it on Dominic when all of a sudden, out the corner of his eye, Gunther turns and realizes somebody's about to attack him, but it's too late. As we see, it was Dragon Lee flying off of a announcer's table, clocking Gunther upside the head with the ring bell. Love the sound effect that we heard from that bad boy too. So that pretty much takes Gunther out of the equation. Look, great continuation of what's been happening with Dragon Lee and Gunther these past couple of weeks. Dragon Lee essentially taking up the mantle for his comrade and former tag partner there in AJ Styles, trying to extract that revenge and everything. That's great. So essentially, you've got like Dragon Lee acting as this little annoying gnat that just keeps buzzing around Gunther. I love that. I love that. Like it almost kind of gives me a. It almost kind of gives me a. Hang on here. Okay, cool. It kind of gives me a little bit of a Spider-Man versus Juggernaut vibe, one of those type of deals. I'm loving it. I'm loving it and everything. So we got that. So final moments of that one. Now that we have Gunther taken out of the equation, as is now down to the young OG Javon Evans, Dominic Mysterio. Dominic is on the offense for just a hot little minute. Tries to go up to the top rope looking for his frog splash. Evans gets out the way just in time. Javon ends up racing to the top turnbuckle, hitting the OG cutter on Dominic, picking up the 3 count. Javon Evans advancing to the men's elimination chamber coming up a week from Saturday. So on that note, if you guys are keeping tabs at home, that means we now have 2 spots remaining for the men's elimination chamber. And I believe that means also we have 2 spots left for the women's. As I'm looking at the updated card right now for elimination chamber, remember for the women's, we got Tiffany Stratton, Rhea Ripley, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, 2 more slots in there. And then for the men's, we've got Randy Orton, LA Knight, Cody Rhodes, Javon Evans, 2 more open slots. And we got a little taste of what we can expect for matches for next Monday's WWE Raw. Obviously, chamber matches, there's going to be some qualifiers on this Friday's SmackDown, which is going to be on the Sci-Fi Network. But next week on WWE Raw, we are going to see 2 Elimination Chamber qualifiers. First up, we are going to see Io Sky, Raquel Rodriguez. I'm trying to think who the third girl is. If you bear with me a second, I can actually tell you who that third girl is going to be. Yes, the third girl is going to be Kari Sane. So that's your Elimination Chamber qualifying match. That's going to be on Raw next week. Meanwhile, for the men's side, this will also be on Raw next Monday. We're going to see Bronson Reed, Jey Uso, and the original Grande Americano. So should be pretty good. And then as far as what's going to be happening for this Friday SmackDown, I'm trying to see who the qualifiers will be. I don't see that information right now. You know what? And if they announced it on last week's SmackDown, I sadly did not watch SmackDown just yet. Bear with me a second here. I'm trying to see if I can catch up here. Yeah, I'm not seeing it yet. But what I will do, as soon as the information becomes available, if it's not already available, I'll definitely talk about it throughout social media, including on our YouTube post section as well. But moving right along. So, I mean, the cards are shaping up to be pretty good when it's all said and done. Talking about Bronson Reed there for a hot second. Speaking of Bronson Reed, the Vision, they came out to kick off tonight's Monday Night Raw pretty damn salty. They were looking to air out their grievances and essentially hijack the show before Adam Pearce came on out and said, look here, you know, Bronson Reed, like, I understand what's going on, understand the frustrations. You know what? We could definitely try to make things right. And Bronson Reed, next week, you're going to have yourself an Elimination Chamber qualifying match. So, you know, now that we got that out the way, let's all move to the back. You know, let's air out our grievances and try to see if we can settle things like adults. Let's talk about things in the back. Vision wasn't having any of that. Paul Heyman wasn't having any of that. LA Knight eventually crashed the scene. LA Knight still on his revenge tour, extracting vengeance there, laying his wrath out on the Vision. Usos were supposed to be opening things up, cutting a promo, but the Vision had interrupted them. So think about that for a second. Usos get interrupted by the Vision. The Vision essentially gets interrupted by Adam Pearce, and Adam Pearce gets interrupted by LA Knight. Nice little collage of WTF that's going on there. LA Knight proposes a 6-man tag match. Pierce likes the idea of it. Usos like the idea of it. So we see Usos team up with LA Knight to take on Austin Theory, Logan Paul, and Bronson Reed. Vision going over in that one. Right move to go, especially when you're trying to build up some momentum there for the big man, Bronson Reed, going into his Elimination Chamber match. Got no issue with that whatsoever. I also love the fact that, think about this too. Let's not forget that Jey Uso is going to be in that qualifying match as well, right? So not that far in the near future, Jey Uso and Bronson Reed going to be colliding again. So I love the fact that the way they had this match set up, they made sure that if anybody was going to eat the pin, it wasn't going to be LA Knight. No. And it definitely wasn't going to be Jey Uso. Jimmy had to eat it. Eat them and smile on this one. So, like the way that this one was laid out, you know, smart way to go when it was all said and done. Obafemi was in the house. If you had saw SmackDown, you know he was given a contract by Nick Aldis. Now this week, Adam Pearce's turn. Adam Pearce told him he believes that he has made a really good, fair, reasonable, probably a more better offer, hopefully, than Nick Aldis. Oba's taking his time and really thinking about it. But before Oba rolled out, we saw him lock eyes with Rusev. I was just looking at that. First of all, damn, Rusev, where you been, homie? Like, that's the first thing. It's like, where you been? Well, we kind of know where Rusev has been. If you've been at least keeping tabs on what's been happening on main event, I'm not talking about Saturday night's main event. I'm talking about that other joint. It's just called main event. Apparently, Rusev has been seen floating around wrestling on there, and you're just going, say it isn't so. Really? Rusev? Like, what the hell, homie? Like, WWE, like, we can do better with Rusev. What the hell? So, having Rusev mean mugging Oba, I'm just looking at that going, nah, Rusev, homie, Oba's not your problem. Adam Pearce is your problem. Maybe you should lay his ass out or whatever. Probably one of the most coolest badass moments out of tonight's WWE Raw. Because, I mean, this was a fast 2 hour show. It just felt like overall one of those filler type of episodes. Not quite in a bad way, but it wasn't must see TV this week. But the segment for me that really, really, wow, is the Liv Morgan, Dominik Mysterio segment with Michael Cole. Michael Cole had this sit down interview where he was hoping that he was going to find out who Liv Morgan was going to be picking for her opponent at WrestleMania. Which championship was she going to be gunning for? So Liv Morgan talked about how she's having so much fun just toying with her decision, and she knows that it's having the current champions on the edge of their seats. She wants to continue to play the mind games because she just loves it right now. So she wants to milk it for all it's worth. Well, Stephanie Vaquer interrupted this interview segment, sat right across from Liv, and just started speaking in her own native language, which I just loved. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love when Stephanie Vaquer talks English. I love her little accent and everything. I just, magnifico. Like, I love it. Keep talking. I love it, right? But no, the fact that she had this serious demeanor going on, I loved it. I fucking loved it. And then add into the mix Dominik Mysterio, who has this level of concern. He looks scared for Liv Morgan as he is looking at Stephanie, making sure that he's understanding everything that's coming out of her mouth and is essentially whispering / translating it to Liv Morgan. Oh man, I love this. And just to see Liv Morgan's physical demeanor go from this wisecracking arrogance, just this whole egotistical bravado that's going about her, to watch her go from 1 to 100 and a demeanor change where she starts to look unshaken. The confidence is no longer there. I mean, could you just imagine if this was a Liv Morgan from almost 10 years ago? Like, wouldn't have been able to pull that off. She really, really has shown leaps and bounds of great improvement over the years. And this particular segment alone is definitely a testament of that. I feel, in my mind, she really did a fantastic job selling the words that Stephanie Vaquer was laying out, and Dom just adding into the mix and everything, and like certain things that Stephanie was saying, Dominic's like chomping right back at Stephanie. And Stephanie is pretty much having like no part of it, as she's just kind of mouthing off at him and just almost kind of like, you are non-existent, Dom. I'm talking to this woman right in front of me. Now, great translation. And I appreciate the fact that WWE later on during the night through Michael Cole, they said, hey, we made that segment be available on our social media feeds. You'll be able to with transcription, you'll understand exactly what Stephanie was saying to Liv Morgan. So we have what Stephanie had said to Liv Morgan, and now with full context, we understand. Because that's the thing that made this segment so badass is if you weren't bilingual, just the fact that you were reading Liv Morgan's facial expressions, you were paying attention to her body movement, right? Her body reactions. You're going, whatever Vakir is saying to Liv, it must be some heavy foul shit. Because Liv was just chomping away at her gum, because you can see clear as day the gum is in her mouth, and then she's just, all that. And it's like, damn, did she just say she was going to put a curse on this woman and her whole family? Like, what the hell did she say? But you just knew, like, even if you don't speak, Spanish, you just knew some shit just got laid out here. Shit just got real. So here's what Stephanie Vakir had said to Liv Morgan. You started your career here. You haven't beaten anyone. You have the best doctors. You have the best trainers. You have everything. You want to talk about sacrifice? I was born in Chile, a country where pro wrestling doesn't exist. And even so, I made my way around the world. Japan, Mexico, Latin America, Europe. I conquered everything. Hiding behind Judgment Day. Hiding behind a man. You need to hide behind your boyfriend. But I'm going to tell you something. I went through hell and made it mine just to get to WWE and become champion. This belt, to me, means more than just a belt. It's for all the girls and all the women who haven't had the opportunity and still made it. Remember that. If you choose me, you're not going to win because I'm going to show you what a real champion looks like. I'm going to show you what a real champion is. Jesus Christ. I mean, when you just like... Now, when you hear that translation, you go, okay, so that was pretty much the promo, and it's like, yeah, that was the promo. So Liv just basically, understand something, right? Understand something. This is on a completely different level, isn't it? Because we think about when Liv and Rhea Ripley were kind of going at it left and right and everything, right? We kind of think about that and the unfortunate timing of, it's kind of weird when you think about it, right? Because then Liv had an accident, Rhea had an accident, and just how he just kind of ping-ponged and everything, right? But, like, here's Liv Morgan when she had that feud with Rhea Ripley. Like, I don't care how tall you are. I don't care how big and bad you are. I can knock your ass down a peg or two. You don't mean nothing to me. Like, but then you fast forward and, Liv eventually came back from her injury, all that stuff, became champion again. Like, all that. You just think about all of that stuff. And yet now we have Liv, who is, like, legit intimidated by Stephanie Vakir. And when you just really take a step back and think about that, you're like, okay, so this is hitting Liv compared to Rhea Ripley. This is definitely more psychological. The game that we're playing right here between Morgan and Vakir, that's really messing with Liv's head. That's really messing her up and everything. And at this point, obviously, Vakir struck a nerve, right? How is Liv essentially gonna rebound from this? And I love the fact that when we revisited Judgment Day later on, Liv was nowhere to be found. That is something that I think a lot of people are going to miss talking about when they get ready to do their post shows and all that, recapping Raw. That is a nice, fine Easter egg of detail by WWE because you definitely That's the way you want to do it. You don't want to revisit Liv Morgan after that intense segment. You don't want to revisit Liv Morgan sitting in a chair and just glaring off into space. I mean, you can go that route if you want. You can go there, and I mean it's good, but no. What they did was just fine. They did the segment, they let it breathe, and now you got a whole week to just pretty much marinate on that, right? And now the question for fans becomes, how will Liv Morgan rebound from that segment with Stephanie Vickier? What is going to be her rebuttal to Vickier after that exchange? Can she rebound, right? So we're going to see exactly how that plays out for her. But nice little touch that they did. Yeah, we were talking about when they revisited the Judgment Day later on. So this pretty much came right before, as CM Punk, Finn Balor, little battle of words on the microphone. That Memphis crowd, they gave two shits not about this segment. They love them some CM Punk. Nothing wrong, nothing against CM Punk. They love them some CM Punk. It was very obvious, but they didn't particularly care for Finn Balor. And I get it. I get it, because it's kind of one of those, why should we really be invested in this matchup when we all know that Punk is going to get the job done? And like, seriously, why are you insulting our intelligence? Like, really? And I get where some fans are coming from. And, I know there's some people out there that looked at this segment and they said, oh, man, shit don't hit the fan now. Now we're taking it up to the next level with the trash talking that was going on between these guys. No, on the contrary, this was pretty much a rinse and repeat from a couple of weeks ago when CM Punk said to Balor, yo, Judgment Day is bringing you down. You need to seriously think about ditching these guys and getting back to, right? Balor responding with the whole, oh, you want to talk about the best in the world? Well, the best in the world, they go to train at different dojos. They go to different dungeons. They go to different countries. And so by like that definition, as far as like the best in the world, well, Punk, you're looking at the best in the world. Like, that was a nice little cutesy little thing that Balor did and everything. But I still feel that what's really missing from this, and if you really want to have fans truly be excited for, yo, Balor just might fucking pull the impossible here, go back to the well and bring back the Demon. I think the way WWE has gone about this has just been wrong on so many fronts. I mean, on the one hand, it's great that we are seeing Balor and Punk continue on here, but Balor should be so obsessed. He should be going down a dark path of insanity that the Demon resurfaces. And we all remember back in the day when it came to the Demon Balor. Like, Demon Balor was unbeatable for like the longest time. So to just toy with the idea, I feel at this point, if you really want to spark interest, if you really want to get people amped up and be like, yo, there really could legit be a hiccup on the road to WrestleMania, bringing back the Demon, or at the very least, letting it be a situation where we see the mental decline / obsession of Balor trying to prove that, yo, I am the man. I am the one that can beat CM Punk. And you got the other members of Judgment Day like, dude, like, we've already seen them go, dude, like, you really shouldn't. And he's pretty much responded the way he needed to, Balor. Like, dude, how could you say that shit to me when you should be having my back? You should be supporting me right now. Two things can be said that's true, isn't it? Because after this exchange between Punk and Balor, we got JD and them, hey, why didn't you let us attack Punk? Because they wanted to jump on him so badly. By the way, I love how they just nonchalantly put JD McDonough just right back into the mix. JD's just back. JD just popped up, like just randomly out of nowhere, just like he never left or something. It was just kind of funny, but Balor is pretty much telling them, no, I want you guys to hang back. If you really want to help me, I want to be able to do this on my own. You just can't help but look at that and wonder to yourself, so if Balor's going to go at this solo, truly solo, no help from Judgment Day, man, when he comes up short and there's nobody to blame but himself, how true of words is it going to be when it really stings for Balor that, you might want to Punk's point, you might want to ditch the Judgment Day. You might want to get back to what you were doing before as a solo act. Really, really makes you wonder, is he just going to go further down the rabbit hole of despair? I think there's a lot of psychological play that's going on here, but my biggest takeaway is that Demon Balor is going to be returning. I just can't quite figure out if Demon Balor is going to return like on the road to WrestleMania, or if it's going to be post WrestleMania that Demon Balor is going to return. But color me curious. I like what's going on currently with Finn Balor and just everything. If you've been checking out my show long enough, I've loved when they've been toying with the Judgment Day, planting these little seeds, trying to help you figure out, like, get you guessing as far as like what possible angles Judgment Day could be taken and all that. So we got that segment. Just trying to think if there was anything else from. Oh yeah, there was another AJ Lee. What's her face? Becky Lynch talking segment. Appreciated AJ Lee's promo, brief little promo. Sometimes her promos feel a little bit awkward, and I think that's because, and you can tell, obviously it's a little bit of time away from the ring, obviously, but you get the impression from AJ Lee at times that she's searching, right? She's searching. She's trying to find, she's got her bullet points, but that she's searching. And sometimes those long, dramatic pauses that she's been taking since she's been back when it comes to those promos, there's been like this uneasiness, that uncomfortable quietness. Now, that could kind of play to her advantage at times, because as a fan, you can kind of look at it and go, well, she's unhinged and she's capable of anything. Like she'll go upside your head with you got to watch out for her because crazy is her superpower, right? So they can kind of play to her advantage. But then there's other times where, and tonight was kind of one of those cases where it's like, it seems like she's kind of searching a little bit too much. Maybe we should kind of tighten this a little bit, speed it up, bring out Becky Lynch. But I tell you what, when they brought out Becky Lynch, once again, another week there where Becky Lynch was just too overly animated, too goddamn comical. I thought I was watching Popeye the Sailor Man, the way she just had her arms cocked up and she just, making the poopy faces and all that. I look, I know they're going to have a good match. That much I do know. They are going to have a good match, but it's been pretty rough getting there, I have to say, because Becky is not, she's not doing any good whatsoever with her contributions to this. I'm being totally honest with you guys. I really need for Becky Lynch to dial the theatrics back. Just dial it back big time. She's just trying too damn hard. And that's the sad part. I remember when she first began, doing these little shenanigans and all that, and it just kind of seemed like it naturally had went over. And then it just kind of seemed like she leaned into it way too much, right? Once she kind of realized that it was essentially catching on, not only did she lean into it, but she went overkill on it. It doesn't have that obnoxious heel heat to it. It doesn't even have that go away heat to it. It just kind of has that. This sucks. It kind of has that kind of vibe to it and everything. As far as other cliff notes from this confrontation, Lynch talked about how she spent 10 years making history while Lee was off making comic books. Wow, that's supposed to be a burn. Whatever, man. After Elimination Chamber, Lee can dictate a new comic book from her full body cast about their fight, and maybe that one will sell. AJ Lee offers her the first swing, but Lynch can't bring herself to do it. She knows the game that Lee is playing and leaves, saying she doesn't fight in Memphis. I mean, I know we're going to have a decent amount of people that's going to look at it and say, yo, this was some really good stuff right here, but not for my personal taste, at least not on the part of Becky. Like, for Becky, AJ was fine, but for Becky, wasn't a fan of whatsoever. So, I think, one other interesting note. Adam Pearce got hit with a mystery crate. Now, I'm not talking about a pro wrestling tease crate, but he got hit with this big ass crate. Only thing that was missing from it was the words fragile. Shout out if you get that reference. But the crate had said to WWE, do not open until February 28th, 2026, which is essentially the date of Elimination Chamber. Adam Pearce was wondering, he was talking to some guy named Eli, not Eli Drake, by the way, but he was wondering, what the hell was in it. And the guy that was delivering it, his name was Eli, couldn't tell him anything. So Pearce decides, well, send it off to SmackDown, give it to Nick Aldis, let him try to figure out what to do with it. So we're going to be seeing that crate again. I wonder if this is WWE's way of letting us know maybe somebody is potentially going to be making their return and it's going to be happening at Elimination Chamber. I can just imagine the people that are going to be running rampant with the Chris Jericho return. Fuel those up again, why don't you? Oh my God, this is going to be an obnoxious week plus going into Elimination Chamber. I can just see that right now. Like, seriously, I can see it right now. But I'm definitely curious what is going on with that crate. For those of you that's like, well, maybe they're going to do something with the Andre. Nah, they're not going to do anything with the Andre the Giant trophy. No. Somebody's making their return at the Chamber. Question is who? I think that's pretty much it for this week's Monday Night Raw. There's nothing else. So some nice progress towards some of the matches for Elimination Chamber. We know there's going to be some more Chamber qualifiers on this week's SmackDown. Everything's pretty much going to be wrapping up next week, going in the Chamber. So, I mean, that all was pretty good. The Stephanie Vickier Liv Morgan segment, that was really good. Just thinking about some of the matches that we had on the card for tonight, I think, honestly, I think the best match, just thinking about the card, really loved the men's Elimination Chamber qualifier. I thought that was pretty good. I definitely thought that was pretty good. Let's see what you guys had to say about Monday's WWE Raw. Shout out to, I wish I could highlight this, but shout out to GSS who had this to say, shit show with predictable outcomes and no good storytelling leading into WrestleMania season. Same repeated bullshit. Things need to change fast. That is GSS opinion on the show for this week. Like I said earlier, and I definitely want to reiterate it again, and I'm not wavering from what I said initially. This was a fast 2 hours. Definitely felt like a paint by the numbers episode. You didn't miss anything if you didn't tune in. Obviously, with WrestleMania now being 8 weeks away, and they got to get through Chamber. I said it either last week or the week before. I personally wish they would just get rid of Elimination Chamber. I wish they would just, honestly, I wish it would just go from Royal Rumble and they just go building up, building up, building up, go right into WrestleMania. I I've never liked the idea of another pay-per-view sandwiched between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. I've never liked the idea, especially in the later years. You can just tell that WWE, they aren't really sure, essentially, what the hell to do and everything. So, as far as GSS saying predictable outcomes, I mean, when I look at the men's Elimination Chamber qualifier match between Javon Evans, Dominik Mysterio, and Gunther, WWE could have easily, if they wanted to really make things interesting, because remember, that men's match for the Chamber, that's to see who's going to be taking on Drew McIntyre for the championship at WrestleMania. So when you're looking at the number of participants here, but particularly this week's triple threat between Javon, Gunther, and Dominic, you're going, wow, we could do something really interesting right here. Like they could really shake things up here if they want to. Man, if they put Gunther in there, does that mean Gunther is definitely going to be going to right? Because you're just going, man, there's so many things that they could do with this here. Like, what direction are they going to be going in? And then Dominic, right? So I mean, it really could have gone either way if you had to really sit down and go, I think I want to see this one advance from the Chamber. It really did come down to, I think, for me at least, I'd like to hear what you guys had thought. But as I was looking at all three of these guys, I'm going, maybe it's going to come down to Javon or Gunther. I never really felt Dom was going to really be in the mix of it. I always felt Javon or Gunther, right? When I look at what happened with the women's chamber match between Bayley, Asuka, and Nattie, I was rooting on Nattie, but then I remember, wait a minute, Maxine Dupree, those two aren't done just yet. Somehow Nattie's going to get screwed. We already talked about how that played itself out. So then it was like, okay, well, maybe Bayley. But Asuka, picking it up. Just kind of, it seems like when you looked at how things had played out for tonight, you're at least with the qualifying matches, you're going, okay, this should go, but not quite, right? Not quite. Thinking about the rest of the matches, why do I feel like we're missing another match too, by the way? Let me just go back and look at the card. Because it kind of feels like I'm missing the 6-man tag match. That was good. Yeah, I had no problem with that one whatsoever. Wasn't there something that went? Yeah. Penta. Something went down with Penta. Grande Americano. Yeah, Penta Grande Americano. Grande Americano Dos. He apparently wanted an opportunity to try to compete for the Intercontinental Championship. And so Adam Pearce had gave him a match. He basically had took on Penta. I'm trying to go back into my notes to see who had won that match. Bear with me a second here, guys. I knew I had forgot something. That would have been God, I can't remember who won that now. I'm looking at my notes literally. Oh, I don't know who won. I'm drawing a blank. And I'm looking at my show notes here trying to see what I had wrote down. I did not put down who the winner was for that one, sadly. So that sucks. Hopefully, Penta was the one that actually won it. Because, I mean, the dude's been building so much great momentum. He'd be a good choice for that title shot and everything because you're kind of looking at the trajectory there for Americano 1 and 2, and it just seems like we're destined to see a mask versus mask match at WrestleMania. So let's see what else here. Let's look at the polling results here. 15% of you are giving Raw from Memphis this week a thumbs down. 30% of you are staying in the middle. And 53% of you are giving the show a thumbs up. Again, it was a fast 2+ hours filler episode. One of those play it safe by the numbers episodes. Couple of decent little matches, not must see Raw this week. Where the money really is, I personally think, is next week's Raw. That's where it really is because Raw will be in Atlanta, Georgia. And you definitely want to make sure you tune in for that one because apparently it's going to be a tribute episode to AJ Styles. Yeah, it's AJ Styles. So all night long, they're going to be giving AJ Styles his flowers. AJ Styles will be in the house next week. I love the video package that they put together for it and everything. So I can't wait to watch that and see the proper send off they're going to try to give AJ Styles. And then, not to mention, see exactly what's going to happen with AJ as far as his future goes. I'll tell you this much. We know that Gunther's going to be crashing the scene and that Dragon Lee's going to be like right there. So I'm looking forward to watching that. I'm looking forward to watching. That should be really, really good. And remember, that's going to be that's going to be the Raw Go Home show and setting up Elimination Chamber for that weekend and everything. So should be pretty good. All right, hey, we're almost at the 1 hour mark. I want to mention this before we get ready to roll out because it's a little bit more on a serious tip. Nothing doom and gloom or anything like that. But, I would be remiss if I didn't take this time out to say today we lost a legendary American actor whose career spanned almost 7 decades. And he died peacefully at his home in Middleburg, Virginia. Of course, I'm talking about the one, the only, the great Robert Duvall. Robert Duvall passed away at his home in Virginia, surrounded by loved ones, passed away at the age of 95. I was editing some film earlier today, and I had took a break, and I was just browsing online, browsing my social media feed, and a buddy of mine has shot me a text message because he knows how much of a big fan I am of Robert Duvall, and he said, "Hey Lee," I was like, "I know this one's gonna hurt, man, but A95 was a good run, right?" And I'm looking at the link, and I was like, "Yeah," I said, "95 is a damn good run, and everything." Duvall's range as an actor, so extraordinary, wasn't it? I mean, this guy gave us unforgettable performances in films that shaped cinema, pulp culture as we know it. And the one thing that remained a constant in every single role that he took on was there was always this quiet authenticity, this calm stability, this calm, what's the right word that I'm looking for? There was always that human aspect
the better side, the good side of that character that you could kind of somehow latch on to. It just seemed like that's what he always brought, that calm stability, that consistency to every single character that he portrayed. I mean, you think about wise, the wise man, right? I know Paul Heyman's always like the wise man, but like when I think about the wise man, I always think about Robert Duvall as Tom Hagen in Godfather One and its sequel, or when he had the haunting turn as Lieutenant Colonel Kilgore in Apocalypse Now, or the quiet, powerful, best acting, winning role as Max Sledge in Tender Mercies. You know, his long career also included voices without words as uh, Bo Radley, or is it Boo Radley in To Kill a Mockingbird, the powerful character work in Network and MASH, and then later films like Open Range, The Apostle. When I think about Robert Duvall, he stood among the greatest actors of his peers, of his generation. Definitely very versatile, um, deeply committed, always brought a form of truth to every character that he portrayed. You know, I still remember the movie Colors. It's like I have my personal favorites, but like if I were to make a top five, Colors is definitely in that top five with a young Sean Penn, and Robert Duvall plays this old veteran cop that's trying to take this new rookie and Sean Penn under his wings, show him the ropes and everything. And Sean Penn wants to his character just wants to come out of the gate, and he's kind of this hot-headed, I'm going to get the job done. I'm young, I got great looks, and I got strength, and these gangs, they ain't got nothing on me, because the setting, it's in Los Angeles, and so this is like at the height of not just drugs and all that, right? But it's also at the height of the Crips, the Bloods, the gang violence, all that other stuff. And Duvall is looking at this character in Penn, and he sees a lot of himself from when he first started, and he's trying very hard to break him in properly and let him know, hey, you can't be operating, with just your fists and your nightstick. It's all about building rapport with these guys. You got to build a little bit of a cachet with them, and all that. And Penn's character learns the hard way ultimately, but that was one of, very rare I watch that movie, but when I do, I watch it and I just know frame for frame, because like I have everything just so mesmerized in everything, it's ingrained in my head. The work as Tom Hagen alone, it's always one of those what if mysteries. What if Robert Duvall would have been involved in The Godfather 3? How would that have looked, right? I mean, he really, really stepped it up big time in Godfather 2. Godfather 2, I know everybody's like, Godfather, Godfather, Godfather. And don't get me wrong. To see Al Pacino's transformation as Michael Corleone in the first Godfather, that it's badass. Really, it's badass. But Godfather 2, that is where things just really, really go up a notch, as far as character development goes. From Diane Keaton, definitely Duvall's character. Like, there's just so much that's going on there, on multiple levels. And from Godfather 1, we got an idea of how Sonny would be as a boss and everything. And then, we kind of got an idea how Fredo, little traces in Godfather 1, like, okay, so now we kind of understand why Fredo's in the position that he's in. Oh, okay, okay. But then by the time we get to Godfather 2, we're kind of like, yeah, Fredo ain't running shit, is he? Right? But the way the Tom Hagen character really had stepped up, you're like, yo, man, just imagine if something weird had happened and not only was Sonny taken out, but Fredo he really just doesn't have the wits. He's a pushover. And just imagine if, like, there was no Michael. Obviously Tom Hagen wouldn't, because he's not a full-blooded. They explained that in part 1. But when Michael had to fake his death in part 2, and you see how Tom Hagen was able to just pretty much take command, you got a really good sense of how Hagen was playing the field. You got an idea of what all he was capable of if he was, really set loose and everything. It's just kind of one of those, man, really would have been interesting to see what would have happened with him if he would have been able to work things out with the studio money wise and do part 3 and all that. But yeah, we lost a good one, man. But 95, that's a good run, especially given the fact that, he passed away at his home, surrounded by family. That's awesome. Something else that kind of struck out at me in between shows, and that's the fact that we lost that very talented actor from Dawson's Creek, James Vanderbeek. That really, really touched me on so many levels. It really did, because first of all, 48 years of age, just barely a month shy of turning 49. A lot of people were under the impression that this guy made a boatload of money on Dawson's Creek, and he didn't. He didn't. And to know that this man was in a position where, this dude was fighting for his life. He was trying to do everything he could to raise X amount of money so that he could do his treatments, and he was doing all kinds of auctions, things like that. And I don't want to speculate, but to just hear that the guy was doing that, it's like I was telling a couple of friends of mine in reacting to this news. Man, here in America, we just got such a fucked up American healthcare system, because you just go to other countries. I won't be long-winded, but like seriously, legit, I would encourage you. You go to do your own online research and you see how things are operating when it comes to other countries and its healthcare systems, and when it comes to getting elective surgeries and all that other stuff. Like it's better than what we have in the United States. But then what really broke my heart even more was to hear how his wife and 6 children, they basically, at the time of this guy's death, like so much money had been spent, like all the money had been spent into Vanderbeek, getting his treatments and trying to kick cancer's ass, that when he died, the family had no money. Not even a dime for funeral arrangements. And they pretty much had to rely on a GoFundMe campaign, to really help them generate the money that they need. And I tell you what, it's been really to the soul to see how so many people have been able to come together and, kick in a little something for this family and everything. As it stands right now, I'm looking at where things stand with the GoFundMe. And if you guys are able to donate, please, please do. I mean, when it's all said and done, this family, they lost the breadwinner of their respected family. They lost their glue when it's all said and done. So they were trying to raise 1.5 million, and it looks like as it stands right now at the time of this recording, they've raised over $2.5 million. So I know some people are going to hear that and they're going to be like, oh, okay, so that's great. I don't really need to do anything. Don't operate that way. If you are able to kick in a little something, I think the more the merrier, because, these were young kids that pretty much were left behind. And when it's all said and done, this family, they're never going to be the same. They are never going to be the same. Their world as they knew it was ripped from them. And so they will never be the same. So do what you can. But it's a stark reminder about our goddamn healthcare system, man. It really is. But rest in power, not just to James Vanderbeek, but also to friends, family, colleagues there, fans all around the world of Robert Duvall. So as far as programming notes go, I know I said we were doing an abbreviated, and that's what we just did. I think we might do a bonus show for you guys later on this week. I just don't know the details just yet, and as far as like how that's going to be looking. As long as you stay connected to me throughout social media, you'll know what's going on. Meantime, if you haven't, definitely hit up the YouTube channel. Stay connected on there. Been posting some really good content. I caught the attention of Papa John's directly, apparently, because they've now become aware of my video that I shared on YouTube, where I gave my first impressions of their new pan pizza. So if you guys haven't checked that out, definitely circle on back and give that a look-see when you guys get an opportunity. Want to give a shout out to listeners, supporters of this show. Without you guys, content like what you're checking out right now would not be made possible. Shout out to good folks over there at justmovieposters.com. Also, shout out to Katrina, spiritualcounseling.com. I understand we have a new show sponsor as well. I gotta sit down and look at the details of that one. It definitely ties into health, so I got to find out what exactly that's all about. More on that though. I love when we get to work with new sponsors, especially when it's something that definitely applies to not just to me, because I mean, if I feel it, I know you guys would definitely feel it. But I love it when you guys definitely can relate to it and all that. Let's see. Other than that, that is going to do it. All right, I am out of here on that note. I'm sorry for the abbreviated. It's just for this week. We'll come back in, next week for sure, and we'll definitely do a much extended edition. We'll definitely be able to get into Elimination Chamber preview, predictions, all that. But we are going to do one more bonus show for you guys later on in the week. If you're new, welcome. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Hit the like, all that jazz. We got episodes available for you guys wherever you get your podcasts. Just search the RCWR show. I knew I was forgetting something too, by the way. I congratulated him publicly already, because I was just minding my own business, and then I saw this pop up on my feed, and I just was like, whoa, shit, cool. But I want to give a congratulations to my friend Jason Solomon of Solomonster Sounds Off. I can't believe I just now found out about this. I'm bummed, but hey, I might be late to the party, but the important thing is I'm giving the guy his flowers. He apparently has a new podcast that is going to be on the Ariel Hawani RSS feed / network. I know Ariel, who does a phenomenal job with his MMA sports coverage and all that. He's been doing this thing with MMA shows, and now he's trying to tap into that world of pro wrestling, and he's tapped into the services of Jason to produce a new weekly show. Again, this show is only going to be available on Ariel's RSS feed, and the name of that show is called, hang on here, I can find out for you guys real quick. I just got to load this up real quick. And the name of that show, there you are, Jason. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah. We don't, I didn't need all that. I got Ariel talking. Hey, hang on. There we go. The Uncrowned Wrestling Show, dropping every Tuesday evening on Ariel's feed. So that is awesome. Like, seriously, it couldn't happen to a better dude than my friend Jason. I love the dude, and I love the fact that, after all these years, Jason is finally getting his just due and everything. Jason's now at a point where he can pretty much talk wrestling, do all things wrestling full time. For those of you that's kind of like, Lee, hopefully, you'll get there one day. You'll kind of follow in that same suit as well. I'm happy doing what I've been doing all these years, but the bigger picture, the bigger end game for me, and I'm like one step closer there than ever before, is ultimately transitioning to being a TV news reporter. So that's where I'm ultimately, and then also working behind the scenes in radio, being a radio host, radio producer, and like those two joints. That's my end game. So I've always been a firm believer in when you find something that's your calling, your passion, you stick to it, you nurture it until it blossoms. You see it all the way through, no matter what. Good times, bad times, you ride it, and you follow that passion, you follow that dream until you are able to achieve it. And then even at that, once you achieve it, never let go. Never let go. That's my motto. So, but yeah, I saw that news. I was like, hey, that is awesome. Like, hell yeah. So that, sincerely, Jason, congratulations, man. Really, I'm legit happy for you, bud. And other than that, boys and girls, that is going to do it. Until next go around, wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I'll see you guys later this week for a bonus show